So let's look over and review, and there's a lot of information here, although we've talked about with protein. So number one, how do exercise and protein ingestion affect muscle building and breakdown? So remember, both exercise and ingestion will cause an overall buildup. However, there will be a subsequent breakdown in between meals and after workouts. So the balance really depends on really the exercise component. If you exercise on a regular basis, about every 24 hours, 48 hours or so, you're going to be in a net building situation. If you only consume protein, you're going to be in balance. So there's not going to be a buildup or breakdown. But if you neglect exercise and or neglect protein consumption, you might find yourself in a breakdown scenario. Can you increase muscle mass by eating protein and avoiding exercise? As I mentioned, the answer is no, you cannot. When we look at the meals of the day, certainly breakfast is one that we need to be considerate of because we tend to go pretty far under the recommendations there. Whereas dinner, if you're a male, you tend to go over the recommendation. Female, you tend to be as close as you're going to get in that time frame. So looking at breakfast is important. How much protein an individual should take in per day really depends upon the type of sport they're in. If they're more endurance-based, you're going to be closer to that 1.2 range. If they're more power-based, they're going to be closer to that 1.8. But if you want to look at it per meal, it's going to be 0.4 grams per kilogram body mass for that athlete. You want to be able to explain the differences between complete, incomplete, and complementary protein. Make sure you can give whole food examples of each of those. What is the physiological significance of leucine? Remember, leucine is our favorite amino acid. Make sure you can explain why. Under what circumstances would protein before or during exercise be beneficial? And what are some reasons you may not want to do that? Again, we don't have a one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition under any circumstances. So certainly that one has some limitations too. Protein consumption prior to bed may be a good idea for many athletes. Be able to provide those recommendations. How much, what type, and why, what is the physiological rationale for that? And then a big take home here is, can protein needs be met through a whole food approach? Yes, even if you're vegan. It's just harder the more compromised you are or the more limitations you have with your nutrition. So never are supplements going to be necessary for the general population. If there is a supplemental recommendation, it's because somebody is recovering from a very low energy availability standpoint, right? And that's going to be under the direction of other medical personnel. So while there's always an exception to the rule, are supplements necessary? No, generally, right? And so can protein needs be met through whole food? Yep, but if you are vegan or vegetarian, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder. And my recommendation always is to work with somebody who has experience with those different types of diets to help make sure that all the nutrients that athlete needs are being taken in.